Alright, going live in 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Blender live stream, where I'm going to be improving this effect. So some of you may know this from my previous streams. This is a kind of laser impact effect, which I've been developing, but the general gist of it is you basically just have one object, you go and point it in a direction you want it to go, and it'll go and make laser blast effects that, have muzzle flash, impact flash, and all that. And it's completely in local space, which is oddly enough difficult to do in geometry nodes, because there's not just one button to do that, unfortunately. So I got it working. Is the music too loud? I may need to reduce that. But today's project is taking this current laser impact effect and adding smoke to it. So basically making it so that the impact has dust, smoke, and all that cool stuff. And maybe some like rock particles flying out. Basically trying to make it look a little more realistic, impactful, shall we say. So, let's get this going. I'm going to just reduce the music by a little bit more. That should be good. Alright, everyone. Let's get started. So the good thing is, I made a system for these kind of particle effects. So right here, let's see, I think this is for the impact. So the little bright flash at the end. So all I need to do really is to copy this, move it up, and then I have a new layer to the effect, which, as we can see, effect is very large just because it's 5 simulations in one, I think. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so technically, yeah, now it's 4. Okay. I forget if I made any nested simulation loops, but I think that's everything. But yeah, what I'm going to do is make kind of a smoke particle object, and then I'll make that instance on here. So this part right here I probably won't touch. We're only going to focus on the smoke. So all of this I can actually just go and delete. I'll add in all the cool customization features later. So I'm just going to connect this for the time being. Actually, I'm going to go and make it easier on myself by going in and here, let me just showcase all of this for the time being. There we go. I'm going to connect all of it together first, and then it'll work. Okay. Let's just go and do that. Ooh, let me turn on snapping. Make sure you have that on. It just makes everything a lot easier to understand. Okay. That's all good. That's all good. I'll put in the age gradient and all that. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is make the smoke object. So I was debating making the smoke object local to like just a billboard facing the camera, but I think that's a little bit hard to pull off with the local space simulation. So I'll consider that, but I might not do it. Okay, so let's make a new... Do I want to keep the old material for the smoke? Yeah, I'll keep this and modify it. So we'll just make this smoke. Spelled it just a little bit. It's been a while since I've done Blender, so just hang in there. Okay, just checking over everything else. Yep, this should work pretty well. Okay, so basically what I need to do is just take out a majority of this, and yeah. So let me delete everything I don't need. I don't think I need that. I don't need that. The age gradient I will need. Yep, that should be good. Okay. So I need to mix between a diffuse and a transparent to make this work. Hello everyone who just came into the stream, welcome. I'm going to be making a kind of laser impact effect. I need this inverted because that's how transparencies and alphas work. Okay, so I want this, except it's dark for the smoke, and then I just have the noise alpha gradient essentially. So not like that. I want the UV map to be different. So let me go and let's see. Let's go plug this into here. So that's more like it, but I want it to mix in just quite a bit less. Let's see, even though that doesn't look too bad, if I'm being honest. I just want it so that the mixing factor is a little more customizable. We don't need that radial UV map, so we can just go and pluck that out of there. I'll use a mix RGB to mix between the, from the center gradient, the length gradient, and then that should be fine. Yeah, there we go. Oh, wait, we don't want that multiplied. We just want those two inputs. So that now I can do all of that. There we go. So if we just mix like that, it should be fine. And we have a gradient like that. Now I need to see, how do we make the fade away effect work? But first of all, let's have this object actually in the scene doing stuff before I work with the animation a bit. So here we just have a kind of dark cloud effect that I'll need to, you know, hone in and all that. But for now, it's looking all right. You know, doing all the other customization, it's good enough for the first test. And then let's unhide everything and go and make it so that that is the instanced particle. So let's go over here and let's see, impact object 01. There we go. So here we can see it only appears for a few frames and then it just goes away. I want to change that. So let's make the lifetime, let's make a custom one. So the lifetime, I want it to be 50 frames, which this is a 30 frames per second. No, let's switch this to 30 frames per second. There we go. So it'll be on for around 1.5 seconds. A little bit more than that. But I want the age gradient to make it so that it will expand over time. It'll start off, and then it will expand. So the age gradient, there we go. So I want it kind of like that. But I want the fall off to be different. So I'm going to use a float curve because we do not have a fall off node. That got canned. Rest in peace. But here we go. So more like that, so that the smoke gets big and then it kind of stagnates a bit and then it would fade away. So right now it's actually working pretty well. I may want it to drift a bit, but this current version I'm okay with. We can work with that. Then initial velocity, right now it has no initial velocity, which is fine. Let's go back into the shader editor. And should I make this a, there we go. It's looking a bit better now, but it still needs to be constrained. So this is why I would want it to be a billboard effect, because we can see the planes very easily, way too easily. Or maybe I just make it an emissive effect. Because is that how it works in games? It's just emissive? So we just do that, and then it's just, ooh, there we go. So it just impacts, and then that happens. Which, I think it needs more alpha planes in order to look better. So let me just go add this in, rotate. It's looking worse, honestly. So looks like I may have to do the always facing camera nodes for it, but we can see that it is working. It is giving that kind of impact effect, which I like. I think that the smoke is big. That's kind of the point. I want it to be a very impactful effect, but I want it to fade so that it doesn't disappear entirely. So here we can see it starts up and then it just fades to nothing. Which does work. I like it. I think it needs to appear just a little bit faster. And so that the fade off can work a bit better. I could also input a little bit of animation to the smoke, but this feels pretty okay. I'm surprised with how good it appears. Okay. And I need to find a way to make it so that that little plane intersection thing just doesn't happen. Because, you know, you see the crisscross and it kind of ruins the entire effect. Backface calling? Or no, show backface? Backface calling? No. I'll have to do a little bit of research and development, but this is not bad. Like the normal, I'll have to play with the normals as well, so that if there is dynamic lighting, we can have it work without this just being an emissive effect. Because here, we want it to be adaptive, without the lighting really changing a ton. I wonder how I would do that. If I use the texture coordinate, there we go, and plug in the object, then this will give it kind of a spherical normal. Maybe? So it should be consistent at all the angles? Yeah, okay. So here's the object normal, which is kind of more like a sphere, while the default normal, which I can showcase, is like this. Harsh versus versus smooth. Words. Alright, now that we have this, I want to do the kind of main event for these particles, which is making rock particles fly out from these and then fall, collide with the ground, so on. So we got the smoke effect, which is kind of just the part that'll linger. But I want something that's just a little more, you know, in your face. Oops, we need to go and undo that. I want this to just be present, but just be a little bit less, so that we have it there. But it'll just be a little bit less apparent. So if we have a sunlight in here, these things, the normals aren't quite working. We'll see how to make that work properly. But for the shadow mode, I want this to be hashed. Ooh, wow. Ooh. I don't think I like that. Lip. No, I don't like that either. Okay. We'll switch that to none. That's unfortunate, but that's like this is supposed to be the icing on the cake. Now time for the main event. So the way I'm going to do this is a very unique way. I'm going to use the Cell Fracture add-on. I need to save. And I'm going to make a ton of little chunks that I can make as the particles. As the kind of particle rocks. So let's go and Cell Fracture. Quick Effects Cell Fracture. Words are a little difficult for me today. It's a bit late. Okay, where is it? Where's the noise? Okay, noise set to 1. That should be fine. Let's go and have it run. Hopefully, eventually, we can have this work with geometry nodes. Which there is a way to do it, but it is very laggy because it uses, like, tons of booleans. And it's, yeah, not ideal. So here, we just go and pick parts of the rocks that we really like the shape of. Ideally, we have the inner ones, not the outers, because that has a ton of, you know, harsh edges, and we don't want that. We want the chunky parts. Lots of very unique and cool angles. That is what we want to do. Okay, any good ones in here? Let's go and select that one, that one, that one. I think we have enough. Enough unique ones. And then, any others? I think we have enough. So I'm just going to go and delete pretty much all of the rest. So we have all these, and I think they're in their own collection. Yep. So this will be rocks, and I can edit these if I want. Making them just a little bit better, so on. Okay, now it's time to, let's just move these over to kind of like our asset pile over there. Now it's time to make the simulation for these. So since I already have my kind of simulation node groups, I can do this quickly. Sorry for not showcasing all of them. It's a bit much to say. That's why I made them beforehand. I think I went over them in previous streams, but I'm not sure. Okay, so this one I'll attach, but we want something different to happen. We want gravity. We want some initial velocity going straight up. I think we have the hit normal, which we may want to implement, but we'll see. And then for the age gradient, I want these to just scale down near the ends of their lives so that they don't do just the, oh, disappear. So I'll have this be from 0.75 to 1. I'll make them live for 100, and that should be fine. And then, no, we don't want this, the rotation by the hit normal. We want this one to evolve with the age gradient. So maybe we'll just multiply this and feed it into there, but we'll probably need some random rotations as well, so... let's have all of this be random to start out with, and then we can go and edit it later on. That seems good, and we want the objects to be the collection. Collection info, we want it to be the rocks, separate children, reset children, plug it into there, select pick instance, whoops, that right there. Now that should work. So if I add in some gravity, we should now see, when these happen, that the rocks slowly, very slowly fall down. We don't want it quite like that. We want them to fall faster. Oh, offset velocity. There we go. Okay, now it's more like gravity. When you forget the settings you made for yourself. But we want a few other things to happen. For one, I want the random new velocity to be, well, random, of course. So I want this 1 and -1, except not on the z-axis. Then I want to scale this so that the new initial velocity will be more like that, which is good. I'll need to scale down the rock particles, and I need to give them some random scale if I'm being honest. There we go. Oh, and I want the child amount to be like 15. There we go. So we now have stuff like that happening. I want them to be thrown up higher. Where do we get the file from? This one isn't available yet. It needs a lot more work. Words. Sorry. It needs a lot more work before it can be stable enough for me to release it. And when I do release it, it'll probably be paid because I spent so much time on it. This one you probably won't be able to follow along. I'm just doing, this is a research and development session, and maybe you could learn a thing or two along the way with the nodes and stuff, but this is me working. This is my kind of dev log for this one. So I apologize. This one probably won't be the most learnable, knowledgeable, explainable streams. Looking for the... Ah, there's the collider. Okay. Let's bring this up. I need to put the collider in with these nodes. Okay. Let's plug that into there. I'm going to copy the automatic reference with the node group that I made. So let's see. Yep, these should... Ah, the collider is not bulletproof. It's not the best. The colliding math, I'm still not the best at. But that's more of what I was going for. The kind of, oh, we have tons of particles flying out. So we're getting close. We still need that to be a bit more like that. But you can see what I'm going for. The kind of, oh, there's particles flying out and stuff like that. I do need to set a material for these, because I forgot to before, which is very odd for me. I thought I would have remembered that. There we go. So now we have a material for those, and now we have this working. I think we need even more particles. 300. I think we need a better distribution of large ones to small ones, which I think I can do using a power node to affect the distribution so that there's like a lot of small ones, but then there's the main ones. Then I can edit that a bit more. Then maybe I need to use a map range after that? As I said before, this is the big math one. big math stream where I'm trying to figure out how to make this work properly. So if we have a lot of small ones, you get a nice, lot better distribution. Even though that's looking a bit more kind of rain-like than I am hoping for. So let's go and reduce this to 100. We're kind of getting that effect. The rocks are flying out. I think the rocks are still too big because how big is this scene? Ah, okay, no, it's big. It's big. Because this, don't forget, that's 2 meters. So that means that a lot of these are being thrown around, which isn't great. I need to scale these down by quite a bit. So let me just go and do that to make the velocity a lot more comparable to their scale. And then, oh right, the gravity. The gravity really makes the, there we go. That makes it look like, oh, there's a lot of, you know, they're being thrown up very, very high. It would be nice, another example why this isn't out yet, like, I don't have a standard gravity math thing in here, so it would be 9.8 meters per second, but again, I haven't implemented that. So with these, another thing, again, the rotation. So we need more space for this, because it's having a real grand time here. So I'm going to need to just separate the frames with this. So one for scale, and the other one for rotation, which we already kind of have. But I need to use a map range so that we can say how much they rotate. Because I'm going to multiply the rotation by a certain amount, but I need it so that it doesn't go from 0 to 1, because they need to start out with random rotations. Then I just increase the amount here. Okay, there we go. We can see that that's working. It's a bit of a shame that we're not really seeing the motion blur, because, you know, there is none right now. I need to make sure that motion blur actually works with this setup. Let's see. I kind of want the particles to still exist. Oh wait, that's delete. Okay, there we go. Okay, now this is reading a lot better. Okay. Okay, there we go. So we're seeing the particles are still existing even when they hit the floor. Which actually, that might not be great, because that means they're rotating while they're still on the floor. But here we're seeing the, yeah, that part working well. But for the impact, there we go. That gives a very different feel. So I think I need to just scale down the impact. No, maybe 1.5. Interesting. So this is lagging because we have so many and they're not dying fast enough, so let me just make it so that the last 50 frames at the max. Even though I do like them being there for quite a while. Maybe I'll just make the lifetime random from 50 to 100. That might be better. Again, apologies for this going so fast. This is just something I've wanted to do for a while, and I'm like, okay, let's just do a research and development stream. Oh wait, and I can have you in the collision collection. Even though they seem to be having a very wonderful time. Ooh, I saw some lightning outside. That's cool. There we go. So it seems that, yeah, the smoke is big, but we're not really seeing it all too much. There we go. I mean, it is working. Like, it's not sampling the material, sorry, words. The material or anything, but it is working okay. That's not bad. I still think the particles are just a bit too much. So child amount, let's switch this back to 100. That feels like it's too little. Like, we're getting a nice amount of very small particles, but I still... Let's see. Like, that feels better. Okay, let's try just 200. Like, there should be very few super large ones. And a lot of small ones. If we do that, it does feel a bit better. We're still getting ones falling through because my collision algorithm is pretty trash. And we're also seeing a lot of them having like a max height limit, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So I'll need to store a random value, or have a random value like right here, to influence the overall power that the impacts have. And then ideally I would have this kind of explosion angle be like cross-producted from the hit angle right here, so that it would go out like that. So cross-producting the velocity with the hit normal, and then that would be the kind of projectile launch. Which actually I could do, in theory. But for just this effect, this is kind of a proof of concept that I want to try out. So, speaking of proof of concept, let's make the inaccuracy very inaccurate. So we can't... Wait a second. Is my inaccuracy algorithm trash? Not really. Okay, let's go and make it so that the rotation is 0. Recenter it and just bring it up so that we can have a nice testing round. From that... So here we can see the very nice impact of all those, which it's reading very well. Okay, so the smoke needs some editing. But we're seeing that it's actually, this is actually working out pretty well, I will say. Inaccuracy, let's go and half that because, you know, it was a bit much. So with the scale of the smoke, I need to reduce it. So, yes, you are the smoke. Let's go and reduce you. We'll need to change the shader by a bit. Also, how's the sun doing? Let's go and rotate that. Contact shadows. Contact shadows are okay, but let's set the sun to have like 3 degrees. Set to it for kind of like the softness. And then the particles are rotating when they're on the floor, but I really do not feel like... Oh, wait a second. What's going on here? What caused you? None of those flew... Oh, that's bad. My collision algorithm is so trash that they hit... Oh boy, I just saw a big flash of lightning. My collision algorithm is so bad that it killed the velocity on the first frame it existed. That is not good. Well, I need the collision algorithm. Okay, I'm feeling almost lazy enough to the point where I'll make it so that, like, on frame 1, it'll just not do the collider stuff. Actually, what happens if I put the bounce on here? What happens then? Because I know that part is still kind of trash. Like, for some of them, they just go and absorb into their... Not great. Not great. Because the bullet collider... Ooh, yeah, no, that's bad. I forgot how bad that math was. I mean, if I just go and do that, then that means we can see... There we go, we're getting much better plumes of the particles. The initial velocities are still not great, so I need to go and capture a random attribute, or yeah, a random attribute for the power on the source particle, so that each impact can have a varied size in a way. So if we do that, say like 0.1 to there, we should see. There we go. So some of them go really high, and some of them go much lower. Yeah, outside is having a field day at the moment. Lots of that happening. Lots of lightning. There we go, 0.1. Okay, so that's not bad, but I think 0.75? Like, originally these were all at 0.1. But what I'm wondering is why they're... Yeah, why are they going up so high? Huh. Okay, so we have this. Let me go and do that. Let me save real quick. As we can see, this is becoming a mess of wires. Which, again, is why this isn't going up on Gumroad anytime soon. Maybe the version without, like, the impact fragments and such. Just because this is complicated. And we can see all the very nice limitations of my math and geometry nodes math. Okay, so let's fix the smoke by a bit. We just need to change the mix factor on that to make it just a tad more even. Like that, except reduce it. Is that good? Yeah, I think that's fine. Like, we're still getting the, you know, the Minecraft crisscross artifacts. I don't know how to make that work better. Like, in games, they have ways of fixing that either with the smoke being billboards, which with the current math I have wouldn't be great, and then we would still get that cutoff effect. But then they also have, I think it's called pixel depth offset, where they can make it fade the closer it gets to an object, so that we just don't get that really harsh cutoff, and so on. But for the time being, this is pretty nice, don't you think? Here, let's, no wait, I want the, there we go, the background visible. So we can see all the nice glorious stone impacts. Very, very nicely done. Even though they're flying, like, some of them are just flying up way too high. So let me go and fix that as well. Geometry nodes, once again. Oh, only 30 minutes. Wow, I thought this was gonna take longer. So here, we can see that again, a lot of them just aren't flying up. That's really bad. I don't like that whatsoever. Maybe, what if I made it? It sucks. I thought that would be better. Like, the source position is affected by the velocity, but there's a lot wrong with this math. If I were to just do a very cheeky, move it up by 0.001. Hey, it works! I just needed to make it so that the math is a bit inaccurate. So it's such a small value, but here we go. Can you turn on timings? I can. So here we can see the entire sim is taking up more milliseconds than it should. Now, if you want to get this to work fast and all that, Unreal Engine is the way to go, because, well, it's fast. You can have hundreds of thousands of particles with, you know, these kinds of collision, well, okay, the simplified collisions, but then they work really well, because GPU particles are really, really fast. This is all on the CPU, and, you know, Blender isn't optimized for speed. All that. Okay, so we have this. Works well. And yeah, it's pretty good. Now all I need to do is have an object to fire all of this from. Oh wait. Wait a second. A very funny object that I could use as a particle emitter? Yes, don't mind if I do. Oh wait, oh, that's a collider still. Whoops, let's move that out of the collider thing. There we go. Or maybe I can have it on, like, the eyes. You know, just... There we go. Just have some... Oh, wait. Just have some animation, so it's just... Like, that's... I should make this like a UFO or something, but this is funny. And I should make the flashes as big as they were originally. So where is that? Flash object? Or no, the impact object. There we go. So it's like... So if I were to disable the smoke, it doesn't quite have the impact that I want. With the smoke, it just feels better. I think there's still, like, I know I'm going back and forth on the particle count way too much with this. Oh wait, no, that feels good. I think the reason I keep going back and forth is because when they hit the ground, it just feels different. You know, it gives a different vibe. You actually see the rubble. Let's see. Let's see. I want to learn and deeply understand geometry nodes, but I couldn't find a way to do that. Like, I want to understand every single node. Any suggestions? The way I figured out how to use all of the nodes is partly... Okay, so it's two parts. Part time, you look at the documentation, look at the math. But other times, you just trial and error it and see how it works. But also, look up tutorials. People will have explanations that will help greatly. Oof. The lightning today is just a light show. Like, it's just flashing every couple of seconds. That's cool. Do I subdivide the monkey just to make it look better? For the really funny, oh, here's the thing. I'm actually a little concerned that the power is gonna flash or get a surge because of the lightning, so I may have to end the stream soon. But yeah, we have the effect that we want, so that's good. Yay! Do I blur or keep the background unblurred? I kind of like the blurred background because it lets you focus on just what's there. That's pretty cool. Yeah, the lightning is flashing very fast. Or wait a second, is that like the cloud lightning that doesn't strike down? If that's the case, then we're fine. I don't know, I'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, here we go. So adding rubble to that, and it only, like, the node tree isn't, you know, that bad. It just took quite a few custom node groups and then stacking it up and up and up and up until it looked like this. See, perfectly fine. Yeah. But that's just because there's one unit, another unit, another unit, and another unit. Like, if I made all these node groups, they would just be, you know, a couple of nodes stacked, and you would be like, oh, that's not too bad. But since they're all out and about, they're not, you know, that great. Like, with previous methods that I used, each one of these would be a separate object. But since the laser impact effect, not the rubble part, was going to be an asset that you just put into your scene and it works fine, I wanted every part to just work. Like, you would never have to go inside to see the nodes. So that's why all that got stacked up. But for the time being, you know, with this method, you know, it would need cleanup. Like, this one I don't particularly envision becoming an asset just because it's complicated, unstable, as we can see. Oh, wait a second. It's not falling through the floor anymore. Huh. Interesting. Did that little thing fix the collision math? I'd have to double check on that, but yeah. So I do want to see what happens if I turn off the inaccuracy. So that will, oh wow. Oh, that's funny. So maybe a little bit of inaccuracy. So like that. Okay, I think 0.5 is the best, just because you can see it hitting a large area. That's pretty good. What if I made the actual laser beam a lot thinner? Or much wider? No, I think that width is good enough. Alright, everyone, I think that's good. Thank you all for watching. Oh wait, I should go and check the chat. Okay. Let's see. Don't try to understand every single node. Yep. Alright, yep, this is pretty cool. Where's the camera? Let's go and set up a nice camera angle for a render or something like that for tomorrow. Let's go up on the socials. Like, this is just a perfect, Actually, wait, I think the camera... You know, I want the camera to be a little more... There we go, that makes it feel just a tad more realistic. But also, what if we were to... the ground plane? Actually, I should have my wireframe ground plane, because that will add in a bit more detail. With everything else still being okay. Alright, that's good. Alright. Yep, so with this setup, like, it's not... With these node groups, it's not too complex, it's just there's so many layers to the effect. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 simulations. And then the setup for, you know, the firing stuff. It's complicated, but for the amount of stuff, it's... Uh-oh, I clicked something. What did I click? What did I click? I messed up something. No tree. Why is the smoke traveling? The smoke should not be traveling. Why? Sorry, what? Excuse me? Okay, no, we're good. Okay, so something I did just messed up the... I clicked something wrong. Okay. Alright, everyone, thank you all for watching. Look forward to seeing this on your Twitter/Instagram timelines. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. It looks very organized, especially for the amount of nodes. Well, yeah, with this amount of nodes, you have to be organized. Like, I've seen node trees that are, this many nodes, except there is no frames and reroutes, and I cannot decipher them. So this kind of blocky method, block line, it's the way to go, just to keep everything intelligible. Because if you just go and hide this part, it's like, oh, okay, that's very clear. This part, oh, that's very clear. That's very clear, that's very clear, that's very clear. And so on. Alright, alright everyone, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.